right, Coach. This past weekend, you were at home hosting Western New Mexico. Talk about what you saw from your team, especially in the second half as you pulled away from the Mustangs.
Well, second half, I thought we played a really good football game as a team. We really did. Got back to playing better on defense. I didn't think we played bad on defense. We missed some tackles, and we just kind of played on our heels a little bit in that first half. But second half, I thought that looked more like Angelo State on both offense and defense. I thought offensively we played well all day. We really did, and ran the ball for over 200, threw it for right at 200, and if you can do that and play good defense, you're going to win a lot of football games. So was very impressed with how the offense was clicking and doing things, and like you mentioned, the second half I thought defensively really stepped it up as well. Special teams were good, not great in where we want to be, but we blocked an extra point and did some things too. Anytime you block a kick in a game, stats are you win, and so we want to continue to work on blocking some kicks and getting some better returns. But overall, very happy with the win, and look forward to continue to improve as a football team to move on through this conference schedule.
Tell me about Caden Smith's performance. His second straight start. The week prior with the rain delay and all, he had 2 passing yards on 2 attempts. This week, very different story. 214 passing yards, 5 touchdowns in the air. Just what was the biggest difference, and what would you like to say about his performance?
Well, the weather. That was one. He's a special athlete. He is, and he's just getting better and better each and every week that we have him out there, and he'll continue to play and continue to do great things for us. Whether we had plans to use him in several different ways, this year. So we're excited about his development, and I'm not surprised with him. I mean, he doesn't surprise me anymore on the field because I watch him in practice each and every day and what that guy's capable of doing. So we're truly blessed with having Caden on this roster and doing what he's doing for us right now. But the other thing about it, I'll say, is we got some special receivers as well. And he gets to throw to some really good talent out there on the edge, and some of the catches we saw on Saturday were Hunter Wallace's touchdown catch is one of the best catches I've seen. He ended up catching like the bottom half of the ball. I mean, it was something special. But we just have a really group there that helps Caden continue in his development, and I'd be crazy not to mention Coach Kilmer getting him ready to go each and every week. And those guys understand in that room you're one play away from getting in there and getting opportunities, and Caden's really done a great job for us and through this stretch.
And what are the biggest focuses this week going into your bye week before welcoming UTPB in town the following week?
Well, it's getting healthy and getting better. We need to. We talked about it after the game. We can't have a bye week and not get better as a football team. So that comes in several different ways. You get better by getting healthy. You get better by focusing on small things. In special teams and work on some basics and that part of it. And obviously, we'll be game planning. Having that bye week before a great football team like UTPB coming in town, that's always a bonus for us. So getting a couple extra practices in with preparation for it's what could end up being a top 10 matchup if they get by Midwestern State this week. It's going to be 2 really good football teams playing in a couple weeks here at Angelo State. So we're excited about that, and just continue to get better as a football team. That's what it comes down to. You can't take a bye week and stay the same. You got to get better, and hopefully we do.
Coach, spread the ball around to pretty much. It feels like everyone got a piece on Saturday, right? How hard is it for opposing defensive coordinators to even plan when you have such a balanced offense that they don't know where the main attack is going to come from?
Yeah, it's great, and then again, we preach this, and I'm sure you guys have heard me say it, being able to run and throw the ball is important at Angelo State. That's something that when I became head football coach, I wanted us to be a threat in both running and passing offense, and we've done that. And you take a look at the room in the running backs, you take a look at the room at the receiver position, you take a look at the room at the quarterback position. We're capable of doing a lot of different things offensively. So, it's so important on that. I mentioned Hunter Wallace, but Trevor Wynn coming back from dealing with some injuries and health things that he's had going on, had a touchdown. Alon Dobbins had his first touchdown catch on a fade ball at the end there. Those are all things that we're so excited about with these younger receivers coming along too. And it's exciting. It just is. Corey's being Corey. He had another great day, and battled through a couple injuries and things as well. So, you just go on, the list goes on and on with the guys that we have out there that can compete at a high level. Some guys that maybe didn't catch the football, but go out there and block like crazy and do the things we ask them to do on the field. It's exciting. So we're definitely a dangerous offense when it's all up and running, and hopefully that continues to, like I said, get better throughout the season here and keep building on it.
Your last comment kind of goes into my next question. The big boys up front played phenomenal. Like, they kind of impressed their will on Western New Mexico in that second half.
Yeah.
Just talk about your offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, we got some great experience up there, led by Dalton Perry. Dalton's been a 4-year starter for us at center, and he just kind of has that mentality that everybody likes to follow. I mean, he's a hard-working dude. He's one of the best you've ever seen in the weight room. And just how he carries himself. He wants to practice all the time. He seems like he's always beat up a little bit, physically, but he's just one of those guys that works very hard. And then, guys jump on that. We see a lot of development in there. Coach Weber's done an awesome job of continuing to get those guys ready to play. Kobe Singleton's another one that's been around and has played a lot of football for us at one of our guard positions. But a lot of those other guys are newer to the starting lineup, but have been at Angelo State and have been developed by our staff. And they're a physical group. They're a proud group. There's a lot to play for at Angelo State in the O-line. We've had some great ones come through here, so they want to live up to what they've been, and I'm excited about them. Yeah, I really am. I'm telling you, we can run 8, 9, 10 guys deep right now where we feel really good. Another one, Evan Brown, is another one who is playing a little bit more tight end than he's playing O-line right now, but he's another guy that just provides so much depth and flexibility for us in the O-line and that unit. So yeah, truly blessed to have the guys we have up front.
It's funny you mentioned some of those names a couple questions ago, because that leads me to my question. You got a couple firsts on the opposite side of the ball, Trevor Wynn and Alon Dobbins catching their first career touchdown passes. And then you also had a couple of rushers making their debuts this season, Israel Coloso and Ashton Dickens.
Yeah.
Just talk about those guys in particular, and even some of the other guys who I didn't even name, who are making their first for this team thus far.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Ashton and Israel. Like, those guys are so talented, and they haven't had the opportunity yet. He got some really good ones ahead of those guys, and we don't lose a single one of those kids, moving into next year. I mean, like, we got everybody back in the running back room, and a lot of them back in the receiver room and that. But it's just continuing to recruit great student athletes, guys that are committed to the process of getting a degree, and guys that are serious about coming out and being football junkies and practicing hard and doing the things we ask them to do in the weight room. And those guys have all bought in, and what's exciting is they're all young, they're all freshmen. So, redshirt freshmen. So seeing them to have opportunities to build and continue to get better for 3 years are special. I'm very excited about that group of guys you mentioned there, and but it's the process. It's the understanding of what we have to do at Angelo State, and be great at what you do, and continue to build off what people have done before you, and play hard. The standard's the standard. You hear that a lot, right? But it's true. I mean, like, we're not going to waver from what we expect from our players, and our players are, we expect them to be great student athletes and work hard in the weight room and be ready to play, and those guys have done that.
And then, I feel like we cannot not talk about Bubba McKinnon, the pick six, and then also being involved on the fumble.
Yeah.
Talk to me about him and specifically, and then just your secondary being just everywhere, forcing fumbles, getting picks, extending your team's takeaway streak to beyond normal means.
Bobo's he's a playmaker. He is. He's a guy that we kind of have been waiting to see, in what role he's gonna jump out at, and when he got comfortable being here and learning the defense and that kind of stuff. He is a transfer. He's one that we brought in over the summer. So he's done a great job in development. He's a true worker, I'll tell you that. He listens. He's yes sir, no sir on everything, and trying to learn what we're doing. And he's playing with at the corner position with 2 guys that have been here a long time, got a lot of reps, and so he's just a guy that I'm so proud of. I mean, he made a great interception and ran that back for a touchdown. He had some great blocks in front of him on that return, which was awesome. He stripped the ball out on a fumble as well. He was about this close to having a second touchdown. His knee was down when he picked it up, but if he was about that much more, he was probably out again. So really proud of Bobo, and the whole back end has done a great job. We continue to get better. We're building good depth there. Guys that have stepped up and done some good things for us, with it. And, it's exciting. I think, Marquise is a guy that you can see continuing to get better and better each and every game. And we hope he does that. Xavier Walton, in my opinion, is one of the best defensive backs, in the conference, hands down, and he continues to be our leader back there. But, Trey Liger and those guys and Day, and they understand it because they've been in the program and they've sat behind some really good players and learned and that kind of thing. So excited about that group.
And then now that we're at the bye week, of course, we're not really gonna. I know y'all are gonna be practicing towards UCVV, but I'm not gonna ask about it until next week. But early on, through 4 games, I know 4-0, very happy. I'm sure you're happy with a lot of things with the team. Is there any specific position group or player that has stood out, maybe not getting the recognition they deserve through these 4 victories thus far?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the back end, because again they were new out of it, and a couple of our young D linemen that have really stepped up and done some great things for us. We can just continue to build awesome depth there in the D line, and we feel more and more comfortable that we can roll some other guys in there and get some pressure to the quarterback. Just some guys that have just jumped out and did that we feel excited about. And then I'll also put in our extra point field goal units. We're kicking the ball better and doing some things there. Rance has done a decent job with that. We're going to continue to call on him for that and continue to get better.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you all.